Laura Lee is another person who had a major influence as a thinker, and that influence, I think, is going to endure for many, many years ahead. I mean, Laura, we met her through our Carnegie Mellon connection. We'd invited Carnegie Mellon to set up its first Australian campus here in Adelaide, and she attended one of the functions, and it was soon clear to us that she had an international reputation, not just as head of architecture at Carnegie Mellon, which is one of the top architecture schools in the United States, but also as someone who had a different way of looking at design thinking, not just design of buildings but the spaces between, but also encouraging a design culture in industry and in the community, and also a different way of approaching planning. This attracted me because for years in South Australia we've had this sort of development debate where we've had developers versus environmentalists and heritage lobby. And the problem is that there was this sort of dichotomy. Rather than actually thinking about, okay, how do we create new heritage that we'll be proud of for the future and that the next generations are proud of, just as the heritage lobby here are proud of our Victorian buildings from the 19th century. So it was really an embrace of new heritage and of excellence in design. And Laura came here and brought these people together, whether it's the Property Council or the Urban Development Institute or ministers. I mean, one of the things she said to us, said to ministers, was that there's some fantastic things happening with this big expansion in infrastructure, a five-fold increase in infrastructure. In fact, there's probably about $80 billion worth of projects on the books. But it was being done very much in an ad hoc way, that a minister would come in with a particular project for a building, another minister would come in for another building, and she said, you know, you're a fairly small CBD area, but there are people who are working on Riverbank who aren't connected to people working on Victoria Square or working on North Terrace, and this doesn't make any sense. So the key thing was that she got ministers on side and then got people out in her partnerships on side for a different way of doing things. And as a result, we've set up the Integrated Design Commission, which is currently, for instance, looking at the master planning of our cultural precinct that goes from the Clipsal site down at Bowden Brompton, which is going to be an incredibly innovative sort of urban village, but going all the way through the new hospital, the new Health and Medical Research Centre, hopefully a major revamp of the Adelaide Festival Centre, of course the $500 million redevelopment of Adelaide Oval, the expansion of the Convention Centre, then going all the way up to what will happen on the old Royal Adelaide Hospital site. You know, what will happen there? Will we expand the botanical gardens? We've got to preserve some of the beautiful heritage listed buildings there. What use will we be able to use them for? Will it be universities or for museums or art galleries? Or could we also perhaps contemplate a world-class, world-renowned building that would help define our city on that site? For instance, a museum of Aboriginal art, or a museum that brings together the fantastic collection at the South Australian Museum, but also of artefacts, which is the best in the world and the richest in the world, but plus the contemporary art, the magnificent contemporary art collection held by the Art Gallery, perhaps in a fantastic building that represents, you know, Aboriginals' people's love of the land, but also the sky, something that might be glass, where the artworks could be seen not just by visitors, but from the streetscapes or even from planes passing overhead. And so I think we've got a real opportunity through a process that Laura Lee established to transform Adelaide and do it in a much better, classier, more coordinated way. And she was another thinker who made a real difference. And I could see in meetings with her the penny dropping with people who said there's a different and better way of doing this. And what we've seen is old enemies become new allies.